America in 2034. Paul Gottfried, American Renaissance. June 10th, 2014. Any discussion of how race relations may develop in the US in the next 20 years must focus on a number of variables. The two that I intend to stress here are the demographically still dominant white race and the cultural Marxist alliance of which non-whites are now an integral part. If whites continue to act as they generally have since the 1960s, and if the alliance of anti-bourgeois forces that now controls our media, educational establishment, popular culture, and both of our national parties in varying degrees hangs together, present trends will continue to unfold. By this, I mean that a relatively traditional white society, as I remember it from my childhood, will continue to suffer death by 1,000 stabs, and its one-time members and their descendants will either acquiesce in this process of disintegration and transformation into God knows what, or complain that the disintegration isn't going fast enough to suit their moral passion. What started out as an adversarial force is penetrating every nook and cranny of the society it professes to despise. Nothing, it seems to me, is being left outside the purview of the post-Marxist cultural left, not even private communications, as we're now discovering from the punishment of those who hold politically incorrect telephone conversations or send politically insensitive tweets. And unlike the garrison state socialism practiced by old-fashioned Marxist-Leninist regimes in other parts of the world, the culturally radical left is thoroughly denaturing Western societies. Back in the 1950s, we mistakenly believed communism was our worst nightmare. Indeed, nothing more pernicious. It was imagined by post-war conservatives could arise on the left as a deadly threat to the Christian West. Little did these zealots realize that a thorough cultural and social revolution would take place on their own turf. Moreover, the indigenous revolutionaries presented themselves as advocates of a moderate solution to the persistence of prejudice and discrimination in their own society. Their revolution has been incremental and moved from an all-out crusade against white racism to subsequent struggles against xenophobia, sexism, and homophobia. This war against the human past, as a creation of white Westerners, is getting increasingly grim and has met with noticeably little effective resistance. It has also gained momentum by absorbing new victim groups, such as women perpetually aggrieved over gender distinctions, and often well-heeled homosexuals who want everyone to celebrate their sexual practices. What must be noted, however, is how well this cooptation has worked, and how pitiably weak the establishment opposition has become. Whether by internalizing revolutionary values or by trying for career reasons to remain part of the political conversation, the allowable opposition on the right, more often than not, sounds like the cultural Marxists it pretends to be resisting. Any serious opposition, like this publication, has been relegated to what one neoconservative journalist described as the fever swamps, presumably the only location that is kept open to what is regarded as political pornography. Conceivably, these controls could break down in one of two ways. One, the white Christian majorities in Western countries might just get sick of multicultural indoctrination and the social problems and suppression of free thought this situation has brought. They could then rebel against the PC dictatorships they've submitted to and try to get back to the order of things that existed before the revolution began. In Europe, the white, one-time Christian majority may even find ways to send back their swelling Islamic proletariat and restrict the educational and cultural reach of the gay movement. I'm not sure how far this reaction would extend, but speaking as a profoundly disgusted senior citizen, I can only say bring on the counter-revolution, if there is one in our stars. As I've proudly announced to my friends and family, I am a Leninist of the right. In elections that count, I vote for the most leftist and the most emphatically anti-white candidates. The crazier the better. Let the majority population groan under the added misery until they react. If they don't, then they fully deserve what they get. Yet I doubt the desired reaction will come, if it ever does, until the misery index grows a lot worse. Most people in Western countries enjoy a standard of living and creature comforts that never existed anywhere in the past. If white male heterosexuals are being forced to speak to each other in PC gobbledygook, a detached observer might ask, why should these people care? So long as they can watch sports on high-definition TVs while munching on a wide variety of snack foods. The more hopeful sign that the regime may eventually collapse is coming from the hegemonic alliance and from the way its parts relate to each other. This alliance seems inherently fragile and may only last as long as certain conditions are met. The participants in the bloc must be paid off, and they have to continue to have a preferred enemy to hate, which is white, male, usually Christian and heterosexual. Absent either condition, the cohesion of the ruling alliance may be in trouble. Perhaps I lack the imagination to do so, but I just can't see Jewish feminists, homosexual restaurateurs, black power advocates, Chinese mathematicians, and Amerindian Aztec nationalists locked in any kind of permanent alliance against what they imagine anachronistically to be the WASP establishment. Their enemy has become diffuse and milquetoast, while the contenders for power and gain have at least as much that divides as unites them. I have every reason to believe these anti-WASP, anti-bourgeois activists don't like each other very much, even if they think they can use each other in a power struggle against an enemy that doesn't show up. Over the years, I've noticed the pervasive anti-Semitic prejudice among blacks, the revulsion for gays among blacks and Hispanics, and the escalating struggle for favor from government bureaucrats among blacks, Hispanics, and Asians. The question is when these contradictions will overwhelm the system. I've no doubt they will in the end. But unfortunately, even if the groups in power start fighting for advantage, nothing significant can change unless there is an accompanying push from the right. Such a push has nothing to do with punishing the Democrats by voting for their Republican doppelganger. And it has even less to do with endorsing some technocratic manipulation of the kind that the neoconservative GOP media advocate as an answer to racial frictions, say charter schools or enterprise-free zones. The change I have in mind would have to be a definitive break from the real leftist revolution, the one that the Western white population inflicted on itself in the 1960s and which is still gathering momentum.